Now that we're back to Kiryu, we get a recap of the previous events that happened with Kiryu, and so the game's structure is established. We have 2 main characters, and every 2 chapters we switch between them. This is a pretty good structure. It keeps things fresh and from getting stale, but also gives each character more time to shine. Like in Yakuza 4 and 5, there were 4 playable main characters, and each character got around 4 chapters each, but the thing there is that you will go through those 4 chapters all in one go, while here, Majima and Kiryu have 8 chapters each, but you switch between them every now and then, so you won't get bored of either character, or of the story. A recap pretty much telling us what happened with Kiryu is a nice way to catch people up to speed after playing through Majima's section, because after playing through that, they might have forgotten a few certain details, so this kind of like a TV series recapping the previous episode, but it's a video game. But enough about that. Now let's actually talk about the chapter. Chapter begins with Nishiki and Kiryu just playing some indoor baseball and recapping their previous events. And seeing as they're playing indoor baseball, that's a good time to talk about the minigame. Baseball's okay, I guess. You aim at a target and you hit the ball at the right time to get home runs. It's alright. I don't really have much to say about it. You just kind of fiddle the sticks a bit to get the right position, so that's baseball. Let's get back to the story. So after that little scuffle with Oda, you're actually now part of their real estate firm. But now Kiryu actually has to look the part and now asks Nishiki to help him find some clothing, and Nishiki is more than happy to oblige. So these dudes hit up a local clothing store, which sadly you can't visit or buy from later on in the game. Kinda sad, I would've wanted to buy different outfits. So after shuffling through a few different options, Nishiki finally has a white answer. And here comes Kiryu.
Yo.
Nishiki thinks Kiryu looks stupid in the suit, but Kiryu actually really likes the suit, so he buys it anyways. Or should I be more exact? Nishiki buys it for him because Kiryu just straight up isn't gonna pay for it. But these dudes. So after Kiryu's finally suited up, it's time to go meet up with Oda. And Oda also isn't a big fan of Kiryu's suit, but what can Oda say, bro? Oda's suit looks like garbage, man. But besides the suit politics, Kiryu is here to talk with a client with Oda. And before you enter, Oda gives Kiryu some slick glasses. And we're in. By the way, if you're a trophy hunter, in this exact moment of the game, there is a super missable trophy. So in all the options you are given in this section, answer the right thing, because if you don't, you'll miss the trophy. So after setting up some proper business etiquette, our client shows up to the restaurant. Or should it be more accurate to say cafe? I don't know, it's pretty restaurant to me. So the main problem here is that our client owns a certain building which he wants to use for a certain thing, but there's a squatter in the building. Now, what is a squatter? Basically, it's a person who just kind of stays there and doesn't leave, but also isn't required to leave by the law, so you can just stay there, so we have to like pay him to get him out of there, and they're really annoying. To read off the Yahoo definition, it is a person who unlawfully occupies an uninhabited building or unused land. Mind you, I'm pretty sure that's like modern times. I'm pretty sure like in the past there was some loophole they found to inhabit that building, but I'm not very skilled at being a lawyer. Our client here is rather old and doesn't really want to fight this dude, so he's just gonna leave it all to Oda to figure out. And the starting price to get him out of the building, 5 million yen, which Kiryu is quite surprised to, because like, what? Isn't this dude like breaking the law? Why would you pay him money? Despite Kiryu's grievances with giving the criminal money, we are given the 5 million yen and we're off to meet him. But before we meet him, Oda sends us on a very crucial mission. Get a box of sweets so we can comply with the customer. Here's the hint. I think the sweets are at the farthest store, like the one that's like straight at the top. That's what I remember. You know, just a little bit of saving busy work. So once you get that box of sweets, we're in. So we actually meet the squatter, and Oda tries to negotiate to get him out of the building. He'll pay him the money, but the squatter's all like, Civil Code 831. I'm staying here. So the negotiations are really going nowhere, and Oda just decides to straight up call him out on working for the Yakuza. Wait, what? So basically what Oda's saying here is that the Yakuza want this building, so they're using this dude as a way to stop the other dude from owning the building, I think. But yeah, this dude is basically just worthless and is just there for the Yakuza. Now whether Oda's right or not, we're gonna see once we step out. Oda and Kiryu step out, and wow, it is the Yakuza. So the Yakuza are willing to get rid of the squatter for 7 million yen. 2 million even more than like 5 million yen. Yeah, math. Oda disagrees and just straight up says, I'm gonna beat you up and you're gonna give it to me for free. And so begins a fight against these Yakuza. Mind you, these are just enemies, so basically, you beat them easy and they're dead. Well, they're not dead, they're alive. They're alive to tell us that they're part of Awano's group. Oh no, that's a Dojima dude. This can't be good for later. Kiryu's first job as a real estate agent is to beat up a couple thugs. Wow, that must be rather rough. I mean, shouldn't he be doing like paperwork or something? And Oda realizes this and is like, alright, that was rather rough. Here, why don't you come to Serena, an old bar of mine, an old favorite, and we can just drink and chillax. Just have some cool down time after your meeting with the client is done, because we just kicked the squatter out. Now it's time for that dude to set up his building. And so Kiryu's off. Oda mentioned that the dude might be bowling, so we're out to bowl, but before we get there, we're interrupted by bumping into some dude in a very flashy red shirt who is apparently the Leisure King. At least the other dude calls him that. And he's just talking about a lot of weird things like 5 billionaires. It's not like it's foreshadowing it or anything. But apparently talking about they beat up some old dude. And you know who's old? Our client. We gotta go meet him. And once you get to bowling, you see that he's just down on the ground all beat up. Why is he beat up? Well, he takes us back to his office and we're elaborated a bit on what the situation here is. Oh, but before we're elaborated on, let me elaborate on bowling. We were just there, so let's talk about it. The bowling minigame here is quite good. It's got a neat bowling system with a lot of power meters and arrows that point to where their ball goes. Different bowling balls, the whole deal. It's a relaxing time killer. It's great that you also have the option to choose between only 3 to 10 courses, because sometimes 10 is a little bit too much. That definitely killed me a bit in GTA 4. So that's cool. Chicken's alright. Well, that's enough about bowling. Let's get back to the story. Psych. Instead of talking about the story, I'm going to talk about the biggest side quest in this game. A side quest that involves other side quests. A monolith of some type. Real estate. Or rather, the real estate kingdom. What our old client was going to elaborate on was this huge side quest, or should I say, side story. They just interwove it into the main plot. This dude won't come back later in the story unless you do the side quest or side story. It is rather big, so big that you might even call it a side business. Okay, enough of that. So basically, in Kiryu's side activity, there are these 5 very bad people, aka the 5 billionaires, who run a lot of the businesses in Kamurocho and need to buy and take away their properties in order to end their evil money reign. You start your journey in real estate by joining up with the old client's small firm consisting of him and his secretary. So the way that it works is that there are certain sections of the map that each of the 5 bad money people monopolize, and you take each one down one by one. You can buy certain properties in each section to take away fluence from said bad money person. You can continue to increase your share of the land by investing in investors and managers. Now, how do you do that? Well, you start off with a couple at the beginning, but they're not enough to really get going in the game. So how do you get more? By engaging in side quests. And this here is where I start elaborating on side quests. The side quests in these games aren't that involved. Gameplay wise, they end up being something of a fetch quest or engaging with the game's combat or minigames. But what saves them from being boring like in other games is the level of writing attached to each one. The side quests are like these self-contained narratives that can make you laugh but then make you cry in the same story. They're heartwarming tales which show the best and worst of humanity, but easily their biggest strength lies with Kiryu and Majima and how these narratives flesh them out. The main story of Yakuza 0 is mostly serious, so Kiryu and Majima have to act serious for that. But these side quests allow us to witness some of their more silly attributes by how they deal with some of the situations they're presented with. It's great fun to witness, but also brings more humanity and likability to their characters. These quests also give them a chance to truly display their life beliefs and core of their character. Because while they do appear as Yakuza, at the end of the day, there are people who just want to do right by others. There are people willing to reach out to others in need, no matter how dire the situation. They're good people who have gone through a lot of hardships, yet still see good in the world and want to contribute to it. The only flaw with side quests is maybe one side quest that isn't as good as the others, and just the basic design of most of them, but some of them do have some pretty clever tricks every now and then. But overall, I do love these side quests, and they contribute a lot of heart to this game and the series in general. But how do they contribute to Kiryu's side business? Well, once you're done with most side quests, one of those characters will come back to work for you as either an advisor, a manager, or security. With managers and security people, you can assign to certain sections of a map, where a manager will just see that the money's coming in good, while security will actually help you if you get in a fight in that same area, so that's cool. Advisors help you make certain locations better and bring in more money. So this is how some of the more end game upgrades are acquired. This element of the side business is honestly really neat because it connects everything in the game. The side quests connect you to the world and the mini games and the combat of the game, while the side business connects you to those side quests. It's like this big web of interactions, which I really love. Mind you, don't keep the same manager and security for too long, or else their stats will burn out and then the money will be garbage, and so will the security. You have to keep switching them around, which means to get the best performance, you need as many people on your team. To get as many people on your team, you need to do as many side quests as you can do so you can get more characters on your team. It encourages you to play the game. I like it. It's neat, it's cool, it gets my approval. So once you get enough influence in a certain area, the bad money person of that certain section will challenge you to a fight. Win the fight and you gain complete control of said area. The horrible person you just stripped of all their property will now be a super good guy and come help you out with your business. The Yakuza games have always had detailed settings with interesting landmarks, so being able to just straight up head up to one and buy it is super cool, but it's also kind of a flawed with said system. You can only buy 10 out of a bajillion interesting looking properties in an area, with the only way to know which can be bought being a name on a menu screen. So you just end up rubbing your face against every wall in the game just to find that one last property you still need to get. But overall, this is a super cool side business slash side quest slash side story given the era of the bubble era. Yeah, the era of the bubble era. Only in a time period where money was so excessive can you just straight up walk up to a building and buy it. So I have to say the biggest flaw with this business is the late game grind. Once you start tackling some of the later, higher tier money people, the grind to upgrade your properties and get that percentage to 100% gets increasingly scarce. It takes forever to get anything anywhere and it feels like it's just dragging on. And if you're trying to complete one dude in one chapter, ooh boy, yeah, it kinda sucks. So I recommend you go through all of this because once you do, you unlock another fighting style, the original, the OG, Dragon. So Kiryu's Dragon style here is just his combat style from the 5th game, which is great because that was a really good style, but with a few new heat moves and also it's worse. It now has to be adjusted to the gear system, and while the other styles work fine with that system, this original style can be a bit garbage with it. Your attacks are snail pace slow in the 1st and 2nd gear, which would just lead to enemies just harassing you to your grave. But on 3rd gear, it's pretty great. Also, your counters are a bit different. You don't have access to your tiger drop, but you do have access to a little pirouette kick, so that's cool. I don't even think it's a pirouette kick, but it is a counter. Well, that about wraps up Kiryu's side business. Beat up Mr. Shakedown to get money to do good. Now let's get back to the story. So after businessing around, we go to Serena to meet up with Oda, but Nishiki's here. Crazy. It's here where we're introduced to Reina, a pivotal character in the 1st game, but now she's all 80s and stuff. It's rad. Kiryu, Nishiki, and Reina were portrayed as old friends in the 1st game, so getting to see that dynamic blossom in the prequel is really nice to see. It's here where these dudes just start talking and chilling like real homies do, but even that is not enough for Oda to show up immediately, so Nishiki gets tired and decides to sing his heart out with some karaoke. But even after jamming out, Oda is still not here. Reina's all like, I hope he wasn't in an accident. For all his talk about being the perfect match for a half-ass Yakuza, he gets his ass handed to him by a couple of half-ass Yakuzas. Awano is here and he's here to treat Nishiki like complete garbage. Awano's boys are here to get revenge over the squatter because remember when Oda beat up those squatters with us? Yeah, those were Awano's boys, and now he's here to take revenge. Kiryu steps up to the challenge, but instead of fighting in the bar, they go outside of the parking lot to resolve their issues. So like Awano's lieutenant here is acting real tough, real high and mighty, and pretty much just treats Kiryu like trash, but Kiryu isn't gonna stand for that. He just slaps him across the face, slap no more like a punch. It's fight time. While this is a boss battle, I don't really like to count it as one because Okabe, yeah, the name of the lieutenant, yeah, he's kind of forgettable. Same with this fight. I don't know, the most challenging part of this fight is the group because they can gang up on you while you're trying to take down the boss. And early in the game, that's a bit of an issue. Just the reason I don't really like to think of this as much of a boss fight is because the boss's moveset just isn't that memorable. It doesn't really have much flair to it. It's kind of tough because he does like guard and hyper guard a bunch of times, but nothing you should be worried about. So once you beat up these nobodies, Awano comes out and Kiryu tries to deck him, but Awano's actually pretty strong. He's got a big hand. He's got big hands. So that goes nowhere, and Awano isn't really here to beat him up. Awano has pretty much pieced together that Kazuma is using Tachibana real estate to get to the empty lot. Awano tells Kiryu that he will forgive the squatter stuff if Kiryu gives him Tachibana, but Kiryu refuses, and so Awano warns him that him and anyone related to him will become targets. And that ends the chapter. This chapter is here to introduce the side business, and that kind of goes on for a bit much, but it had to be done at some point. Not the most graceful introduction, but it is a lot to introduce either way. Things definitely picked up near the end, and now the stakes are raised for chapter 6. The chapter begins with Reina treating Oda. The Dojima family are planning on pulling an all-hands search for Tachibana, and things are getting spicy. Nishi is kind of planning on handing over Tachibana to save Kiryu, but Oda wants to save Tachibana, but overall the situation is just screwed. Not even Tachibana planned for things to get this screwed. At least not until he had the empty lot, but he doesn't even have that yet, so man, things are crazy. So given how messed up the situation is, Oda asks for a phone call so he can call up Tachibana, but instead of asking for help, it just tells him to run away so he doesn't get killed by Kiryu or Nishiki. So yeah, so Nishiki's pretty upset about this, but Kiryu only has one goal in mind: go get Kuze and beat him up. Kiryu exits Serena, and under all that stress, he decides to go revisit the empty lot, the area where this whole conflict got started. And once he gets there, behind him is Tachibana. Tachibana came to inform Kiryu that if Kiryu were framed, then Kuze hired a killer. But Kuze didn't leave any evidence that he hired anyone. So it can't be Kuze who did it. It has to be someone else. Tachibana also informs Kiryu that while the situation is screwed, they're not that screwed because he has actually located the owner of the lot. So his final words is to tell Kiryu to stay alive for one more day and to tell no one what he has told to him. But Kiryu is like, I could just sell you out. But Tachibana actually trusts him 100% and then leaves. Kiryu decides to go back home to sleep, but before he gets there, he comes across the Super Money Man who could teach Kiryu the Super Money Man technique. Now this isn't an evil Money Man, this is a very good Money Man. He got the green suit. Now the Super Money Man technique allows Kiryu to throw cash around, which can get you to clear crowds and enemies, which can get rid of the random encounters if you just don't have the time for that. This is a pretty cool ability which fits really well within the setting of the game. Money Man also introduces Kiryu to the catfight minigame, and well, I think the catfight minigame single-handedly increased the suicide rate in Japan. This game is hot trash. It's really funny at first, like wow, they actually did it. Those crazy dudes who made the game actually put a catfighting ring in the game. So the game plays like rock, paper, scissors, so it's all random. This isn't that bad until you look at all the trophies for the game. And some degenerate thought it'd be great to make one of those said trophies require you to win 10 3-round fights. This is where the suffering begins, never ends. Yeah, that's about it. Super Money Man also serves as a way to send money over to the other protagonist, Majima. Majima will also get his own version of the Money Man once we get to him. But in short, this Money Man is a giddy little fella, and he's real good. He also does investments. He's prepared. Let's get back to the story. Kiryu returns to his apartment, and here we reach a decision of no return. If you hit the sack, you can't avoid the event. So if there's anything you want to do before this, do it, because you won't have the chance to do it, because after this chapter's over, you're down to Majima. Now let's hit the sack. It's here where we see Awano being in charge and calling up the shots. so he calls up Dojima to let him go on the hunt for Kiryu. Awano's also got the Kazuma family working with him. Kashiwagi and Nishiki are there in the office while this decision goes down. While Kuze may not be in charge anymore, he's still pissed and will probably get to meet him again. Kiryu wakes up and has to avoid the Dojima family, but that doesn't matter because he ends up running into them anyways, and so begins the Dojima family beat 'em up level on the streets. Let's fight! This level is pretty interesting. The main gimmick with it is that each combat encounter has a timer on it, forcing you to get things done quick, unless you want more dudes to show up, which is a bit annoying but thrilling. The level ends with a big group encounter with a mini boss thrown in there, and do not underestimate this mini boss. He is tough. He's a big boy, so he'll have a super guard on most of your attacks. And if you try to run away, he has a drop kick move you'll want to watch out for, because you don't want this big boy dropping you. So after going through this level, Kiryu is running away, and this lady's just standing by and decides to actually help him by leading him to a secret passage in the sewers where he can escape. But it turns out it was just a trap set up by Kuze and Awano. Kuze runs in the sewer. No, he doesn't. So yeah, Kuze brought a motorcycle to the sewer and just slams Kiryu. So it's here where Kuze decides to give a little bit of a life speech.
一ついいことを教えといてやる。極道ってのはな、ボクシングとは違え。喧嘩に負けたやつが敗者になるんじゃねえ。最後まで張り続けらんなかったやつが負けるんだよ。ああ？そうだろうが。極道の世界に KO はねえ。俺はな、キリ指の一本や二本なくそうが、阿波野や渋沢に頭取られようが、そんなことは構えしねえんだ。命ある限り何度でも這い上がってやる。だからよ、てめえみたいな半端もんが一番許せねえんだよ。死ねえボケ！
And so begins another boss fight with Kuze, out of many more to come. This Kuze fight is a bit different from the rest of them because Kuze got a pipe in his hands. His combo consists of him swinging the dang pipe around, and every swing breaks your guard, so I wouldn't recommend blocking too much. But be careful because dodging his swings ain't easy. Kuze swings fast and hard, so I recommend you get the advantage before Kuze starts going ham with the pipe. He also has a pipe grab you gotta watch out for, so watch out. Just like with Oda, Kuze doesn't have a QTE transition into heat mode in this fight, but once you reach his half health, he's in heat mode. The setting for this fight is bad. A sewer tunnel illuminated by the motorcycle Kuze crash with both dudes wet as hell. It's a long but tighter fit than usual, which can make dodging Kuze's swings harder. Once Kiryu beats down Kuze, he decides not to kill him, which makes Kuze all like, "Kill me, do it now." Kiryu goes on to explain to Kuze that he is a real Yakuza and how he couldn't really fit that description, but he has his own pride to follow that involves not killing people. Kiryu actually comes to respect Kuze, which is pretty cool, and will play into their later engagements later on. Oh, when I say that Kiryu said he is a real Yakuza, he means Kuze. Kuze is a real Yakuza. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with my first person pronouns. Kiryu continues down the sewer path and steps into a dance floor where Awano's just getting it on with some lady.
一緒に踊ろうぜキリア。何を言ってるんだ。 あんた俺を殺そうとしてんじゃなかったのか。
Awano's all like, yo, come dance with us. And Kiryu's like, no. Which leads to Awano getting straight to the point. And by straight to the point, he just kind of rambles on about golf food, which just kind of makes Kiryu sick of his crap. But Awano then goes on to tell Kiryu that he knows about Sunflower Orphanage, and pretty much everything else about his past to show that he has nowhere to run. He even knows about his favorite ramen joint. Dang. Awano goes on to tell Kiryu that his joint runs extortion, and if Kiryu hands him Tachibana, he'll be living the good life running the fast cars. Awano's all like, man, Kuza's a loser. I just want to live a rich life with rich stuff. The Yakuza ain't a privilege for me, it's a job. Kiryu responds with, wow, you do suck at this, and then gets his big hand and just throws it out of here. And then Kiryu turns to leave, but then Awano shoots the lady for no reason, just to intimidate Kiryu, but he just ends up looking like a loser. Man, screw Awano. Awano also tries to scare Kiryu by telling him that he has a bunch of goons outside packing heat, but Kiryu's such a rad dude, he doesn't care, so he goes out anyways and realizes that Awano was lying. Kiryu goes outside and Nishikiyama is actually waiting for him and tells you to get in the car to get out of here. Nishikiyama just kind of drives you out to someplace far away, nothing really exact, and come across a bloke in the road. Not a bloke, a block. Kiryu and Nishikiyama leave the car for a smoke break. Nishikiyama reaches for his lighter, but it ain't there because Kiryu is still borrowing it. Nishikiyama is fine with Kiryu keeping it. Nishikiyama goes to the back of the car and pulls a gun out on Kiryu.
よく味わって据えよ、兄弟。そいつがお前の。
Is Kiryu being set up by the Dojima family? Well, Nishiki's breakdown should make apparent what is actually happening here.
いい加減にしろって。
うるせえ。もうこうするしかねえんだよ。
The thing is that Nishikiyama is horrified at what the Dojima family would do to Kiryu if they actually caught him. And he wants to kill Kiryu quick and painlessly before Dojima can get his hands on him. He goes into detail about their skill in torture, and all with a voice that could break into tears at any moment.
人間がどの程度痛めつければ死ぬのかよく知ってる。それをとことん死なねえように殺すんだ。生かしたまんま。できるだけ長く苦しむようにだ。生きたまま解剖されるような拷問されて、散々痛めつけられた挙句、そして後になって見つかった死体はもう人間と呼べるようなもんじゃねえ。俺はな、桐生、兄弟としておめえにそんな死に方させられねえよ。
The great thing about this scene is the way Kiryu responds to the situation. Instead of calling Nishikiyama an idiot or fighting back, he puts complete trust in Nishikiyama. He feels responsible for the stress he has put on him and trusts his blood brother to do the right thing. Man, that kind of bond is really connects with me. Kiryu accepts his death at the hands of his blood brother, but he has one request: to take his head to the Dojima family and to rise up the ranks of the Tojo clan.
なんだよ。こっちみんな。みんじゃねえよ、桐生。頼むから。
情けねえこと言うんじゃねえ。そんなんじゃてっぺん取れねえぞ。
Nishikiyama ultimately can't go through with it. How could he kill Kiryu? Without him, he's nothing.
やっぱり俺はおめえと一緒じゃなきゃダメだ。極道として。俺なんか今まで生きてこられたのもおめえがそばにいたからだ。俺はおめえが一緒じゃなきゃ何やっても半端で意味がねえんだよ。
Kiryu shares his sentiments and ponders on
まだガキだってことだ。つまらねえ火種つけちまった。世話になったおやっさんにも迷惑かけて、それで死んで片付けちまおうなんてよ。極道がどうとか言う前に結局俺は半端なガキでしかねえ。
It's such a powerful scene, a man at his wit's end for the well-being of his blood brother, and the brother remorseful for the worry he brought upon him. And the music during this scene also breaks my heart. However, it's part of the cutscene audio. What I mean by that is that's not part of the original OST, so you just can't listen to it standalone. But a certain someone has made a great piano cover. Kiryu decides to break their blood oath so that Nishikiyama doesn't have to be involved in his mess. Kiryu takes the car and Nishi is left to sob alone for the brother he lost, left in his brother's shadow. And so ends the chapter. This is a pretty good chapter. There's a few tutorial stuff with the money man, which could be a bit annoying on repeat playthroughs, but it doesn't last that long, and to be honest, it does add some length to what would be just a chapter to have a beat 'em up level. Also, once you're introduced to the catfight minigame, the world is fully open to you. This is when the real estate and side content really opens up. And because of that, I think I'll go over one more minigame before moving on to Majima. Pocket Racing. Pocket Racing is basically Hot Wheels, and man, it is some cool stuff. There really isn't much gameplay with it, but rather more about customizing your car to be the best car ever, and then hoping for the best. Some standout elements is that banging music, yeah! And the long string of charmingly goofy sub-stories that come from Pocket Racing, aka side quests. Stick with it, it's a fun ride. Also, buy everything that you can. Getting money is easy, so it ain't that hard. Now let's get back to Majima.